Tyvis Powell, what's up, brother, man? I listened to you and Jeff last night. Great show, phenomenal as always. Everybody getting them preseason reps in, even us in the media. Remember how you feel this morning?
First of all, you're not gonna sneak that in there at the end. I am not a media member, so don't even try. I'm feeling good though. Obviously, anytime you can wake up after a Browns win, you start replaying things in your head of how things went. It was
Guards
good,
won
man.
too.
It was a good night.
And the guards won. CJ Cavis drove in 3 runs. I know you was going crazy.
It's about damn time they called him up.
I thought we was dead in the water, but we back. Cleveland is the place to be right now.
Risked up.
The city on fire right now.
Man, listen, you watched the game. You've played this game. It is preseason. When I say preseason count, I always think about people like you. But from your point of view, from your perspective, based on what you've seen, stats aside, what did you think of Shedeur Sanders' performance yesterday?
I thought he looked really good. He looked like a quarterback that, out of all the question marks that people had, I thought he did a good job of answering them. He went in there, commanded the huddle, got guys in and out. Didn't seem that wasn't no delay of games because he didn't get them out of the huddle in time. Thought he saw his sight adjustments pretty well. Protection looked pretty good. And, for the most part, my biggest criticism on him coming in and all the quarterbacks, I kept saying that came in this class was I thought they all held the ball too long. And I thought that was something that they needed to be coached out of. I didn't see that a lot out of him yesterday. I thought he did a really good job going through his reads and getting the ball out in a timely manner. To be honest with you, he really didn't have too many flaws. I think the first pass he threw, the slant to Deontay Johnson, was a little high. So I said, okay, he's a little nervous. He calmed down. Second drive, it was like 2nd and 12. I want to say he missed the running back on like a little wheel route, overthrew him a little bit. So I was like, okay, that's his one miss. But outside of that, I thought he did pretty well, getting the ball to his receivers, and guys was just making plays.
Tyvis, obviously the next part of this conversation becomes like, what does the performance on Friday night mean for Shador in the conversation of this quarterback competition? I don't know that the Browns are going to drastically change their thoughts on how this depth chart is shaking out right now after just one preseason game and with a big week ahead with the joint practices with the Eagles obviously looming. But what do you think that this should mean for Shedeur Sanders in terms of how he's viewed by this team and on this depth chart as a whole?
Well, I think the team already views him as a guy that can make plays. We've seen it in practice.
Yeah.
Even though he's only getting limited reps and he's getting with the 3s and the 4s or whatever the heck it is, he always is making the most of his opportunity. He's always making plays. So I think everybody knew that. I think what this game did was, okay, we wanted to see what you could do in the game setting, because a lot of people could do it in practice, but can you do it in the game? And I think him going out there and doing it in the game, now the coaches is like, all right, you know what? We need to give him a little bit more. Let's put a little bit more on his plate and see if he can handle those things. Because, again, I know that, it's an open competition for QB1, but I think at this point, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Joe Flacco's probably going to be the quarterback one. And we love Joe Flacco, but we all know that at some point Joe's going to fall off a cliff. So to me, this whole thing has been about making sure whoever quarterback 2 was ready to go and become quarterback 1 at some point. And I think now you got to rev it up a little bit more. You got these joint practice against Philly, and last night, all I was thinking to myself is my name was Kenny or Dylan. I'm trying to find a way to get back on that field because I always say you can't make the club in the tub. And if you sit out, the more reps you miss, the more somebody else got the opportunity to shine. And that's exactly what Shador did. So I think coming up in this week, obviously if Dylan Gabriel is healthy, you owe it to your organization to give him a shot at some point to see what he looks like in these preseason games. So I would definitely get ready to see him go if he's healthy. But if not, I'm continuing to roll with Shador until, proven otherwise. I see what bothered me last week in this Carolina joint practice it wasn't the fact that Shador didn't get a ton of reps. It was the fact that in the team periods, they continued to give those periods to Dylan and Kenny. And I'm like, okay, I don't like that because that's not an honest look. If these guys can't move around because of a hamstring, you should give it to guys that's healthy. There has to be some penalty for guys getting hurt. And I felt like the Browns didn't do that enough. Like they kind of baby in the situation. Like I told you, if you get hurt, like there's reps that you miss, but they still do a good job of getting those guys reps when it shouldn't be that way. It should be given to the guys that's healthy that can actually play in the games.
Just looking at the overall game, was there any other guys that really stood out to you that played for the Browns yesterday and made some plays?
Yeah, the receiver. What was his favorite target?
Gage Larvadane or Luke Flory?
Yes, that's him. That's him. He did. I thought he did really well. I mean, I think that for some odd reason there was a natural chemistry between him and Shedeur. Obviously, Caden Davis caught the 2 touchdown passes, which that was good by him to be able to catch those because Shedeur put those in some tight windows. But you could tell it was a chemistry early in the game, and the Panthers kind of picked up on that, and then he had to really pivot and start distributing to other guys. So I love what I've seen out of him. As far as on the defensive side, it wasn't really a lot of guys that really stood out to me. It was nice to see Alex Wright back out there. He had a TFL and he had a sack. The secondary was just okay. It wasn't like they did anything wrong. Obviously, they gave up a couple of catches. But I'm still waiting to see that guy stand out that I would feel comfortable going in, because if Denzel went down or Greg Newsome went down or even Cam Mitchell, he still need to clean some stuff up too. But if they go down at any point of this upcoming season, I'm going to be kind of nervous of who's going in that game. And that kind of bothers me. They need to find a way to address that, or some guy needs to come up and separate himself.
Tyvis, you played defense. By the way, Tyvis Powell joining us on the fan hotline. You play defense, so I know you certainly have a great eye for that side of the ball in particular, and you sort of laid out the few guys there that stood out. But I kind of wanted to highlight Mason Graham here for a second, because pretty much after that initial opening series for the Panthers on offense, I saw people jumping on Twitter like, man, just put Mason Graham in bubble wrap. I've seen enough. What did you think of the debut? Everyone was obviously so focused on Shador, rightfully so. But what did you think of the debut of Mason Graham, the number 5 overall pick as well, who I thought showed some nice things against the first team offensive line of the Panthers?
You know what? They sold us on the fact that when they drafted him, they sold us on the fact that he can be a pass rusher. And I wasn't really all the way there. This is a guy I think had 3.5 sacks last season or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's okay. I don't see it. I see him more as a run stuffer. If they try to run the ball, he does a really good job with his hands, getting penetration. Obviously I watched that in the rivalry game, which I hate that. But so
you hated watching that tape back. So did I.
Yeah,
so
I was very familiar with his game in that aspect. But I actually did get to see some pass rush moves and see him be able to push that pocket up the middle a little bit, get those quarterbacks to scramble around. And I think that is what you want, because now you got these quarterbacks moving their feet to go run into a Myles Garrett or run into an Alex Wright. If you can get that vertical penetration like that is something that destroys an entire offense. If you think about it, if you're a running back, the hardest thing to do is try to get that vertical push, because now you got to stop your feet and try to get around it before you can even get going. And if you're a quarterback, if they push it straight up the middle, now they flushing you out the pocket. But now you got these guys that's, they running blitzes on the outside, or Myles Garrett is on the outside. So now you're running yourself into a sack. So if he can continue to get that vertical push like that can be a huge difference maker in this whole entire season.
We're going into week 3 of training camp. And can you just kind of give us an idea of, as we progress, from week 1 to week 2, we've now played a preseason game, things like that. What will week 3 look like? What does that add-on looks like as you start to ramp up even more to get towards the regular season?
Well, they got the joint practice this week, so there's going to be a lot of energy and a lot of juice. It was weird that they only did 1 joint practice. Usually guys get 2, but they're using their 2 joint practices for this week. So there's going to be heavy competition out there, and guys is going to be amped up for those practices. The good news is these guys practice with each other a couple of times, I believe, in the past couple of years. So they're very familiar with each other. They don't know how the practice flow should go. So it shouldn't be too many fights. Guys should be trying to get some good work in, but this is going to be a high energy week. And when we get to the game, it'll be good because a lot of people have seen some of the guys that they're going against. So they'll feel even more confident to be able to, check them or, be productive in that game. So that's kind of what this week is. A lot of energy, a lot of juice, because you're practicing against another team. Now, next week, totally different story.
Tyvis, as we talk about the quarterback situation in general, we know that's where everyone's attention generally kind of lies right now, especially after last night. Does this upcoming week sort of feel like the gathering like final information before they name a starter? Because listen, at the end of the day, at some point here, the Browns have to be like, all right, this is our starter for this, at least to start the season, because they do have a season to get ready for. They have, we're under a month now until week 1. And so I've kind of believed that these Eagles joint practices and that preseason game next Saturday will set the stage for Kevin Stefanski to give us a better sense of who the starter is that following week. But I guess what say you on that specifically, and how much time they have to sort of name this starting quarterback?
Oh yeah, I think absolutely 1,000% after this week, you would know who the starting quarterback is. You just got to pay attention to those reps again. Like I say, it's kind of obvious at this point because the guy that you wanted to battle for the quarterback one got a hamstring injury, so you can't really get a good look at him. It's kind of Joe's by default right now. That's how they've been treating it this entire process, and I think that's how they're going to continue to treat it. But I fully expect them to make a decision as far as hopefully Dylan Gabriel can go this week, because that will be able to help that quarterback two competition be able to get a good look at him. He'll be able to play in that game and see if he can make some plays, because Shedeur set the bar high. He really set the bar high, and these guys got to really do some things to wow guys to make them believe that, they should be quarterback too, because I think outside of Shador just playing well, I think he's done a great job also as winning the locker room. He's won the national media over. I think those things have happened. So it's a lot of pressure on Kenny and Dylan to get out there and try to really make a push for that quarterback two spot. But to me personally, I think Joe Flacco already got that quarterback one thing locked up.
Yo, to that point, right? Because I see the same things that you see. I think Shedeur has won over the locker room. I think Shedeur clearly has won over the national media. And, unexpectedly, he got the opportunity to throw the first punch, and he landed a pretty nice damn right hook. And so now if you're Dylan Gabriel, as you alluded to, I need to get back. What do you think is going through his mind? Like if you were talking to somebody, if you were somebody that, was working with Dylan, personally, or somebody that was just a motivator to him, with everything that's going on and he's the guy that was drafted higher, what would be your message to him?
I would tell him, listen, you was drafted in the 3rd round for a reason. There's teams out there that also had a lot of interest in you. I think that if I was him, I would tell him, listen, you've seen how Kevin was able to get with Shador on that game. And Kevin did a really good job of calling the things that made Shador comfortable. Like he didn't ask him to do anything that he wasn't comfortable doing. And I have to give Kevin a ton of credit for that, because he could have went out there and he could have been like, you know what, this is what we're going to do this. You didn't have a ton of reps at this, but we're going to throw this out there at you and see if you can handle it. And I didn't really get that sense, or at least Shador didn't make it seem that way. So if I'm Dylan Gabriel, I'm telling myself I have confidence in the play caller, because he's going to call things to my strength. And he just got to go out there and make completions. I mean, if I was him, I'd look at what Shador did in this game, had them stats written down, and be ready to roll when my time has come, because I got to be better. I got to be as good or better than that.
Tyvis, you obviously were on the air last night with Jeff in the post-game show. I'm just curious, what was the reaction like in real time last night? Admittedly, I was working on a few other things, so I didn't get a chance to listen to the full show. But I can only imagine it was a lot of fanfare and stuff last night with being right in the aftermath of Shador doing what he did.
Oh, they wanted to crown him. I had listen, as great as he played, and I was so happy to see him play this well. I had to pump the brake. Like, hold on now. I think we do it. Out of all due respect, we do have to at least see the other two. Everybody's like, I don't need to see Kenny. I don't need to see Dylan. I'm like, whoa. Like, the organization gave up a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick for these two. We have to see what they look like first. So I got to pump the brakes. I got to at least see them in a Browns uniform.
So I got to ask you this, man, because I'm pretty sure you went crazy. We deal with the Colorado fan base a lot, and it ain't just Shador that they go crazy over. It's anybody that play for CU. Mm-hmm. And I realized, I'm just as guilty. Man, when I seen Travion Henderson take that thing to the house,
Listen, the world was like, oh, we picked the wrong guy. And I was like, hey, man, we all knew he was fast. I don't know why we acting like shocked by that. We knew he was fast.
Hey, man, that boy got some wheels on him. Browns fans was like, damn.
That was a bad start to like Shador hadn't scored the touchdowns yet. It was just the two like opening drives, and then that happened. It was like, oh no, here we go.
I still believe that the Browns made the better choice, the right choice in the time, because I believe when they looked at Travion, they thought to themselves, yes, he's a home run hitting back, but they probably felt Jerome Ford was that. And then Travion had some injuries at Ohio State that kept him off the field, and they probably didn't want that. They probably wanted a guy that they could view as an every down back, a guy that can be a bruiser, the guy that can pick up those tough yardage. And they thought Quinshawn was that guy. He is that guy. Obviously, he's just dealing with some off-the-field stuff.
Tyvis, can I ask you real quick? We got like 30 seconds. As a former player, because I know the Browns really value these joint practices. Did you value joint practices more? Like, did you feel like you got more out of those, or was it the preseason games that kind of got you more prepared for the season?
No, the joint practices, I got a lot out of those joint practices, because outside of the fact that you're competing against other guys, you also get to talk to other players on other teams. And you know what? The league is funny because they don't mind sharing tips with you. You know, I remember, on some special team stuff, I talked to a lot of guys that was some special teams aces and got some tips from them. Got to talk to a lot of the Tyrann Matthews, all those good players like that. We got to have a chit chat with them and ask them, what do you see? Could you help me with this? So it's nice to get the perspective from somebody else in a practice setting. The preseason games to me is just tape. Like, that's just trying to get your tape out there. So just in case you don't make this team, you can make a team. And that's usually what the preseason is all about, is just making sure that you, after when final cuts happen, if you don't make this roster, you can at least get picked up by somebody.
All right, bro, man, we appreciate your time, man. Go relax, play some Madden, play some NCAA 226.
No. I'm playing Battlefield 6 beta right now, and it's lit. It's putting Call of Duty to shame.
Tyvis got to go. Thanks for joining us on the Fan Hotline, man. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Appreciate you, Tyvis.
See y'all later. Go Bucks, go Browns, go Cavs, and go Guards. Playoffs, here we come.